If you're watching this video, then I assume you have just launched an ad and started getting sales, but right now you don't know whether metrics are good, bad, you're not sure. So that's what exactly I'll be teaching you in this video of how to analyze creatives, the process of understanding story behind those numbers. Now, because when you start analyzing creatives, when you're good at it, you can spot patterns early, edge out competitors, scale faster, make good videos as well. So we have a lot of good media buyers, but only few analysts who can say why behind the video, and hence only a few brands are able to scale. But right now that's going to change. We just test out. Usually you don't scale this way actually, but let's change it. By the end of this video, you will be a part of small minority who is good at both media buying and analyzing creators, spotting trends far before they are there, so that you can create better video ads, better ads in general, and then scale faster. That's my promise to you. This video is very non-linear, so please pay attention because I'll be dropping learnings throughout the video. It's not just one section of the video. So let's start with it. I personally analyze 5 creators every day and have been doing it for past 2.5 years. We have managed multiple millions of ad spend in the last few years for multiple brands, and hence I understand what makes a creative tick and how to analyze the creators. We have been doing it for the last 2.5 years. So let's get started with it. First, today's agenda is we'll go through column setup for creative analysis, then optimizing of creatives, then advanced analysis of creatives, then data into the story, then the most important part of how we'll be going through an example of how we can convert an existing creative into a better creative by analyzing the data and getting the qualitative insights behind the data, the story behind the data. We'll be going through a real life example here with good metrics, with actual metrics. So let's get started with the column setup. Column setup for creative is very basic one. In the left you have primary metrics, which are amount spent, results and cost per result. In the right you have storytelling metrics. In that specifically, video hook, video hold rate and video average playtime are your primary storytelling metric. So those are the most important functions when you are running a video ad. Whether if it's an image or carousel, you are more focused on impressions, CTR, CPC and link clicks. That's the main focus. Now what's a hook, video hook? This is nothing but your function of 3-second video views by your number of impressions. What's a video hold? It's your 15-second video views by number of 3-second video views. Then video average playtime is your average playtime of the number of customers, of the number of viewers who is viewing the video. Next, how to optimize this creative. You have seen this data, then how do you actually optimize this creative? Let's get started with it. Let's take an example here. I have taken an example of one of our brands which we are working with. This is the response on one of the video ad. You can see the column setup is pretty much the same which has been discussed just earlier. I have added another metric called conversion rate. Let's go through it. Here are the details of the creative, so I'll explain what the creative is. The hook is a Shark Tank reference. Bridge is agitation of pain, so it's in a hair care brand, it's agitation of pain. Then we are telling a story of how this product is better in terms of ingredients, ease of use, how to use it. Then before the end, we are reminding them why this is better than the other products. Then ending with a sweet offer. This is the gist of the video, of the example creative. Now here are the primary metrics from the video. This is the amount spent, storytelling, results, cost per result and conversion rate. Then storytelling metric is the following. You understand now hook rate and hold rate. But let's go through exactly of how do we analyze this creative. Usually hook rate and hold rate, we keep it as a ballpark of around 20-25% is a good hook rate and hold rate to have. Now this is a creative performance of how the video has performed over the course of the entire length of the video. Usually this is the graph you will see. You will see a sudden drop within the first 3 to 5 seconds. That's pretty normal for any video ad to have. But after that you should see a consistency between the not dropping off majorly, because otherwise it's a bad video ad. Here this line should be fairly linear rather than going down. It should be fairly linear. That's a sign of a good video ad. Now the importance of a storytelling metric is when you are actually creating a new creative. Don't drive business decisions with the storytelling metric. Storytelling metric includes hook rate, hold rates. Whenever you are analyzing this, always benchmark it against your best creative. whichever is your best creative, benchmark it against it and see how the hook rate, hold rates are performing against the existing creative which you are analyzing. It should be within 0.75x of your best creative metrics. Say for your best creative metrics you have a 40% hook rate, then it should be within 32 to 33% your other credits also. Otherwise it's a bad video. You should be changing the hook there, which is your first 3 seconds to 5 seconds of the video. Also, CPC and CPM don't matter. You can compare it, but it's something which should not drive business decision, as well as turning off, turning on the video should not be directed by CPCs and CPM. It should be rather through other metrics which we'll be discussing. Best to look when creating new creatives. This storytelling metric is the best to look when you're creating a new creative. Always benchmark it against the other which is your best performing. Then primary metric. This is where you decide on the budget and scaling of creative, on what budget to allocate and what the scale you want. If your primary metric, which is your cost per result and your ROAS targets, are well within the targets which I have said before, then you can keep increasing it irrespective of what the CPC and CPMs are. The thing is, CPC, CPMs are a secondary metric which needs to be looked at when the primary metric is not good enough. When your cost per result is too high or you're not getting any sales, that is when you look into what's wrong with CPC, what's wrong with CPM. You don't look into drive directly. Then this always takes precedence over your storytelling metric. Primary metric is the name itself says it's the primary that should drive decision. Then you can compare it with other ads, or you can compare it with your target. This, rather than comparing directly through ads, compare it with your target also. Whenever comparing between ads, make sure the product is the same. Don't interchange product and start comparing it. Then, how do you actually drive this in terms of primary metric? Whenever you see that primary metric is not good enough, you are not getting sales, then you try to analyze and find the root cause of it by getting into independent metrics. Independent metrics are those where the metric is not influenced by anything. For example, cost is your independent metric. Revenue is not an independent metric. I'll say how. Revenue is a function of what's the conversion rate on the website and what's the average order value on the website. What's the purchase value? That's the function of that. While your ROAS is again an dependent metric, because ROAS depends on your revenue and your amount spent. So always, whenever you're analyzing, whenever you see an anomaly in terms of sales not being there, cost per result not being there, look into whether the creative is the problem or there are other issues with the website. If the creative is not the problem, it is well within your 0.75x of your best creative, your hook rate is good, hold rate is good, then you will move apart from creative, the next step, which is your website. That is how the analysis goes on, and that's the structure of it. Now, whenever you are improving the creative, say the hook rate and hold rate are not up to the mark, then look into what aspect of the video is the major drop. Try to connect the next clip with the previous clip. If after 5 seconds you see that creative people are dropping off majorly, then you might have to change after 5 to 10 seconds that video length and see what can be best fitted there and start analyzing it again. Now, messaging is the most important thing whenever you're creating a creative, because your CPC, CPMs don't matter, and even how good the creative is, whether it's a photo shoot, whether it's a 10k budget full studio shoot, it doesn't matter. If your messaging is good enough, people will ignore the design, because the story is from the message you convey in the creative. That's the most important thing, not just one benefit or one feature which you have. It's the message where the environment you set for the product to be sold. That's the most important thing you should be focusing on. You have to keep asking questions to be a good analyst. Try to analyze what's going on with this creative and what's one thing that is problematic. What's the metric that's problematic? Now, after the metric you feel there's a problem, create a hypothesis of what might be influencing it. It can be because of various reasons. Let's discuss that also. And create a hypothesis and go get data for it. Once you know what the hypothesis is, you can work backwards and see what the data says for this hypothesis. Does it suit, does it not? If no data is available, then test it out. See previous data if it's available, or otherwise directly test it out. Now, coming to advanced analysis, here we go deep into the creative itself. Here, analyze based on age. These are my 3 breakdowns which I use: age, placement and gender. Those are the most, and the 4th one sometimes I use impression device. These are rare, but these are 3: age, gender and placement. whenever you're creating a creative, you always have an audience in mind whom you're addressing. Whenever you're looking into the analysis of the creative, you should once again have the audience in mind. If your audience is between 18 to 24, and you see in the age breakdown that 18 to 24 hardly any spend is going, for example in this creative, then you quickly know that there is something wrong with this video and hence it's not getting us sales. But if your audience, as in this video, as in this image, is between 25 to 44, the majority of spend is also going there. So always analyze in that aspect as to what your core audience is, and is that audience matching the breakdown of it when you're analyzing the creative. If it's not, then it's a possibility to change and get better results with it. Now, there's another metric you can see. For example, 25 to 34, we have seen high cost per result, 686, which is almost double, 2.2 times the other ones. What we can do for this is the next step, which we'll be discussing in the example regarding creating a creative just to address the 25 to 34, analyzing their pain, analyzing what makes them different than the 35 to 54 audience or the 45 to 54 audience. They are more aspirational, as we see. 35 to 44 is more we are settled in and people kind of. So can we have a creative which is more aspirational, which is more fast paced, like that? UGC alone is not a silver bullet to have good performance. There are multiple places where you can create good videos without any UGC. Now when analyzing the placements, you can look into, okay, where does my audience spend majority of time on the app, and is that matching the placement report? Mostly it matches placement. There's rarely any difference there, but mostly it matches. If you see that Instagram Reel and Instagram Stories are performing well, then you can think of how can I improve this creative in these two placements. Can I keep the text of the creative within the safe zone, what Facebook calls it as, because you have like button and follow button in the bottom, you cannot keep the text there. So can I improve that creative in that aspect? You should be analyzing it this way. Next, ask one question: is this correct reflection of my audience? Whenever you are deeply analyzing your creative, ask that question, keep asking that. And is this what audience wants? When you're connecting two different clips, for example in the 3 second you have a high people retention rate, but after 5 seconds it's not, then you'll have to think through what is that I said it before and is it connecting well with the second clip. For example, you start a video with the promise, say you get your dandruff, get free from dandruff within 20 days. Then you come to the next part, which customer usually has is, what's the problem it solves? It's the problem, it's dandruff, to agitate the problem. Then customer has a question of how does it solve it? You introduce the product there. Then customer has a question of why should I use it? What's the benefit of it? Then you introduce the benefits of the product. Then customer has a question, okay, has anybody else used it? Yes. You show the proofs there, you show reviews, you show social proofs. So that is how you should be pacing the creative when it's a video creative. In image, it's more straightforward. You call out the audience directly and say what they're going to see. Then here, this is the most important part of the video. Please pay close attention. We'll be going deep into how exactly we convert this video creative which I just showed into a new creative format. See, this is the primary metric and storytelling metric which was discussed just now. We are analyzing the creative and creating a qualitative feedback for it. For example, who can hold rate is strong, then messaging is good as the conversion rate is decent. So conversion rate will not be determined by how good your creative is, but how good your message is, how good your marketing story is. That is what influences. So your messaging is the most important. Again, conversion rate is good, so messaging has been good. So primary metric, the video creative is ticking most of the boxes here. But mostly age group which we saw just responds to 25 to 44, which is a good model, because that model in the video creative is also between this age range. Then Reels is the most converting, such as Shark Tank videos are mostly seen on Reels, because people have seen that I just referenced that hook is a Shark Tank reference. So people usually see such videos on Reels, and Reels is the most converting, so nothing surprising here. Both Android and iPhone devices have similar share. Then specific interest groups resonate more with the hook as CTR is higher. This same video creative was launched in multiple other ad sets also, where some were interest-based targeting, some were broad. Some responded better. So we know that, okay, this as an audience, people who are watching Shark Tank and interested in hair care are finding it better. So can we refine this as a creative to make it even relevant to the audience? That's how we think about the video creative when you are actionable. So actionable analysis, change hook to present state. For example, Shark Tank, when the Shark Tank was airing, we could have used this hook, but right now we cannot use this hook. So we'll have to change the hook in here. Push spend by controlling age group. For example, we just saw that 25 to 34 age group had a very high cost per result. So can we change that and use a different model? That is one qualitative feedback. That is one improvement which you can do. That's the analysis we are doing. Then placement specific ad spends. Can we push certain placements only in a ad creative? This is not a very good idea always, but sometimes it can be pushed. Then make one promise when introducing the product. Can we change the hook? Instead of saying Shark Tank as a reference, can we change the hook to some promise we are making with this product? For example, which we just discussed, 30 days no dandruff in 30 days. Can we make that as a hook? Then opportunities which we have right now is replicate this to younger audiences. Since we are seeing 25 to 44 works, can we replicate this to a younger audience by using a model which is within the 18 to 24 age range, by using pain points what 18 to 24 age range connect to, but not 25 to 44. Then target pains of older audiences which is above your 45 age range. Then can it be created for men also? This is mostly what's catering to women. So can it be created to men also with the same script? Just a men saying it, and some pains can be different based on men or women preferences. Then turn the video messaging into message, because we know that the messaging is better, because we saw just that conversion rate was good. So can we turn it into a message? That messaging, can we turn it into an image based bit? So story to creative action, see how. So old was this, hook was Shark Tank reference. In the new video, I am saying about summer mask, because it's summer now, it's summer hair mask. The promise was, in the video, the old video was salon like hair, you get it. Here the promise is frizz and dry hair. Why I am saying once again summer? Because the hook was also summer related. The ad group which performed were interest based ad group, left to algorithm. Here I want to force spend on some interest groups and force spend on 25 to 34 age group with reels and stories as a placement. So these are how we analyze the creative and go get it with it. Now new creative, here are the details of the creative. Hook is a Shark Tank reference. Promise of, promise of reducing grey hair, agitation of pain to older audiences. Then story convey about the ingredient, because graying of hair is more prevalent among older audiences. So we are tailoring our video also to that audience. Messaging is more tailored there, even though the structure of the video remains the same. Then before end we say about other products which we have, which are there in the market, which are not helpful to you. And then we discuss about the sweet offer. That's how we go about. The sum up of the whole video, here it is. Messaging is the most important when you are analyzing the creative. Think in terms of, is the messaging good? After that you analyze whether the CTR is good, CPS is bad, CPM is good, whatever it is. Then it's not an if-else statement. If the CTR is good, you should be changing just the creative. It's not like that. If that was the case, then algorithms and tools should have taken up the whole system of Facebook ads and no agencies should be involved at all. Human involvement would not be there. It's not an if-else statement. You have to think holistically. And you always create a hypothesis, test, create a hypothesis, test, create a hypothesis, test. Always test it and don't keep testing in terms of hypotheses which are obvious. Go for the data, look for data. Whenever you don't have a data and that hypothesis can be repeatable if succeeded, only then use it. If the hypothesis and solution you are expecting is not repeatable, never use it. You are just wasting money on a one-time wonder. Fourth point, the audience need not watch the full video to be convinced to buy the product. Just think about it. This is a very critical statement which I am making. But actually, if you are to convince yourself to buy a product, you don't end up watching the whole video. You mostly are convinced within the halfway mark or within 60-70% mark. So don't brood over that I want a 100% view rate on my video ads. That's a wrong metric itself. You should be focusing on, okay, what's the cost per result? Can I make it better? So this is all from my side. This was great. Hope it was helpful to you and you are able to analyze better. If you practice this can be certainly improved. I am no expert to it, but we have been doing it with experience for a lot of time. So thank you very much.